Welcome to our Idaho office again. We're still talking. We just did a video on woods bumming guns for the area we live in Idaho and Montana. We're still talking about woods bumming guns. Woods bumming guns get more use than your hunting rifles because at least in my case, I'm always out woods bumming. I'm either on a horse or on foot or on an ATV, and I'm always bumming around, fishing, doing something, checking out game. I carry these rifles more than my hunting rifles. Hunting seasons, especially in America, are a pretty short duration, a couple weeks, maybe a month. And the hunting season's open depending on the species and your specific locale. But woods bumming, as soon as the snow melts off, even before the snow melts off, I'm out bumming around the woods. So these guns get used a lot. These are my Alaska woods bumming guns. They're very different than my lower 48 woods bumming guns. And where you woods bum will determine what rifles you should have. Every one of these bolt actions that I'm going to show you is controlled round feed. That's not necessarily that important, but when you've seen as many things go wrong as I have with guns, with gun and ammunition combinations, with the foliage, I mean, I've seen all kinds of grime and grit and dirt inside actions down people's barrels. A good, reliable, controlled round feed is probably a little more foolproof than most push feed actions. And by the way, any lever action is a form of a push feed. So let's start. A lot of my woods bumming guns will have scopes on them, but in this case, these are quick detachable. This is probably the most perfectly designed woods bumming gun for Alaska that anybody could have thought of. It's as if this is a Ruger guide gun, chambered in .416 Ruger. It's almost as if the folks at Ruger contacted me and said, design us the perfect guides rifle. Guides rifles aren't necessarily hunting rifles. You can certainly hunt with them, but guides rifles fill a niche, shooting things at close ranges, being large enough bore to be powerful to kill a charging grizzly. And Ruger aptly named this the guide gun. 20-inch barrel with a muzzle brake. I don't like muzzle brakes, and I don't need this muzzle brake on here. If I use the rifle in Alaska, the muzzle brake comes off. Anyway, .416 Ruger, I'm shooting buffalo bore 350 grain Barnes triple shocks out of this thing. It's extremely useful. If I decide I want to hunt with it, I can put the scope back on, it repeats to 0. You can take it off, put it on, it repeats to 0 with these Ruger mounts. My iron sights are already sighted in for close work. And generally, if I'm just hiking around and doing stuff, I don't want a scope on a rifle. The rifle's just for my protection. And, iron sights, the gun carries a lot better. It's a pound lighter without the scope. This gun, if I'm gonna be bumming around Alaska, is almost always gonna be with me. I like the way Ruger made these. Even the length of pull, which is from your trigger to the back of your buttstock, even the length of pull is adjustable. You can put spacers in here, and this is really nice for my wife. If she needs to use it, she's a little shorter armed than I am. They thought about everything with this gun. I mean, they even put the sling swivels up here on the barrel because in a heavy recoiling rifle, if your hand's right here where most sling swivel studs go, this can just rip the skin right off your forefinger. Done it many times. So everything about this, including its construction. I mean, this is a laminate wood, weather impervious stock. The metal is all stainless. I mean, they just couldn't have done any better. It's almost a throwaway gun, but they work too good to throw away. I have 3 of these. 2 of them are in .375 Ruger. This one's .416 Ruger. One of the 375s is going to Africa permanently, and the other one is for Kim to use if she goes to Alaska. she already killed a big Alaska brown bear, and she'll probably go back and hunt for moose. And that 375 Ruger's really nice, out to 300 yards or so, and plenty powerful for anything you want to tackle in Alaska. Okay, this is probably my oldest Alaska woods bumming rifle. I've had this for 40 years. I've restocked it a few times, but there was a time in my life when I was in Alaska 3 times a year, brown bear hunting, moose hunting, just goofing off, catching crabs. I mean, we used to go set the crab pots out and pull them up the next morning just full of crab. Alaska's just a cool place. This gun went everywhere with me. It's all stainless. It's a controlled round feed also. It's a Whitworth Mark 10 or a Mauser Mark 10 action that I had nickel plated. I don't know why, because rust on the surface doesn't really hurt anything. It's interior rust that hurts things. The barrel is stainless. This is a really nice rifle, and it's so handy without that scope on it. I just whip it around. It's got an 18-inch barrel on it. And I personally think, after killing a number of Alaska brown bears and after being in on the killing of a number, being with other hunters and stuff, I think that the 458 Win Mag, when loaded with a controlled expansion 400 grain bullet, say at 2,300 feet a second, it just doesn't get any better for stopping brown bears. That's all you need, and they really work. This rifle, again, scoped with, again, a loopholed scope, and I'm really big on these 2.5 to 8 power scopes for a utility gun. For hunting, I usually like more, but for a utility gun, great. This is a 20-inch barrel, it's short, it's a Winchester controlled round feed action. Quick release scope mounts, so I can take the scope off, flip up my pre-sighted in iron sight, and carry it just like an iron-sighted rifle. Or I can pop the scope on and hunt, up to 300 yards with this rifle. I've killed game with this. I've shot Alaska brown bear with this, not my brown bear, but one that was getting away after it had been shot. I killed it with this. We get into the lever guns again. This 4570 Marlin has been customized. I had Dave Clay slim down the forearm and cut the barrel shorter. Again, 20-inch barrel. I'm shooting buffalo boar, 430 grain hard cast in it. I also showed this same rifle as a woods bumming rifle for where we live here in Idaho. It's seen extensive use. I like the all stainless construction. I can just, if it gets wet or whatever, I don't care. I don't maintenance my guns very well. I don't really abuse them, but I certainly neglect them. And then this one I threw in just because. This is another Marlin. However, full-length magazine tube was put on, an octagon barrel was put on, and I had that done by Dave Clay. I had the forearm slimmed. This is chambered in 50 Alaskan. It's more power than you need for anything that you'll do in Alaska or anywhere but Africa. However, more is good. I don't know how many people will see these videos that have ever been involved in a dangerous animal attack or a charge, but they close the distance in a second and a half, depending on how far out they are when they start. They're always a close range affair. Having more gun is better than having less gun. Sure, if you put the bullet in the right place with anything, you'll kill it, but you don't always have that luxury when there's a charge going on.
Bear spray, babe.
Oh, bear spray. One of my pet peeves is bear spray. I've never bought a can, don't own a can. If I did buy bear spray, it would be for use socially with humans, not with bears. My wife's right to point this out. We've addressed it in other videos, but with bear spray, if the wind's blowing in your face, you're the one that's going to get the dose of bear spray. So now not only are you getting mauled by a bear, but you're blind. I mean, it's just not a good combination. Bear spray is the chief tool of fish and game departments and tree hugger groups that, guns are evil, guns are bad, guns are too final. Well, getting mauled to death is too final also. And even if you don't die, it leaves emotional, mental scars, physical incapabilities. A lot of people never talk right, never walk right, never even think right after a severe grizzly bear mauling. Death isn't the worst thing that can happen to you. So I use very powerful firearms because I don't want to experience that stuff. And yeah, I've been charged way more than my share of times, but I live in the woods almost on a daily basis, either in Africa or North America. Anyway, 50 Alaskan is a great cartridge for that. We make 50 Alaskan ammo. I am working with some others on the potential of a company bringing out Model 1886 Winchester lever actions chambered in 50 Alaskan from the factory. That won't be a reality for another 6 or 8 months if it becomes a reality, but we're working on it. The cartridge has merit. Anyway, those are my Alaska woods bumming rifles.
What about Canada?
Well, Canada's a mix, and Alaska's a mix. I mean, you're talking about landmass that's so large that you have 5 or 6 different biospheres. I mean, you've just got different environments, all over the place. Canada is even bigger. So a lot of the rifles I showed you for the Rocky Mountains where we live that I use as wood bumming rifles, I would use in parts of Canada. Other parts of Canada, I'd use exactly what I'm using in Alaska. And you can't really go wrong with a rugged, controlled round feed, all stainless, large bore, powerful rifle. My main focus for these rifles is to keep myself alive in the face of an attack, but you can also hunt with any of these, kill game if you need to subsist. I find it more challenging and more enjoyable to go out and hunt with iron sights than I do a scope. Just because at my age I've killed so many things, I like adding a bit of challenge. And I like carrying a gun with iron sights. They carry so much nicer than a scoped rifle. Anyway, these are my Alaska woods bumming rifles. When I'm in Alaska, I've always got one of these with me at all times. As always, we hope these videos are useful and you get some instruction out of them. We just hope you stay safe, enjoy the outdoors, and God bless.